Okay, so the last couple of nights I've had the urge to create my next videos to show everybody that no, the things that you love are not uh, accidental. Things that I've observed in my own chart and others, that the things that you love, the things that you're interested, that is all part of your path. And they say that you're made up of all the parts and pieces everyone you've ever known. You can really see it in charts with a deep study. I kind of have an obsession. So anyway, so I was adding in two different categories, my favorite things throughout my life, and uh, my views on religion, which I've always been very skeptical of based on a bunch of events in my life. So in that study on my favorite things, there are asteroids, ZZ Top, Rolling Stones, various band names, and David Bowie. Um, so when I saw this one here that was very close to Poison, who of course I used to have their album, I'm an 80s girl, um, and I saw it sat next to my moon, I was like, well, that's interesting. So in the religion chart, this de Broglie here was connected when I typed in the keyword religion. I keep a word file of asteroid descriptions. It's about 150 pages now, and I add to it regularly. Uh, but I use the keyword function to explore new ones. Uh, so I plugged that in, and it was here. Uh, Schrodinger, when I went through college a few years ago, in one of my courses, I fell in love with Schrodinger. I don't know why. Uh, well, I do now, but anyway. So Arago here is actually the house address of where I live currently. It's where all of the astrology studies started, where I really got on the awakening path full and heavy, and learning to do this, showing things in charts that everything happens right on time, which with Arago, that is basically what it means. It has to do with the universal timing and laws. So the reason I'm pointing these out is turns out they're all connected. I woke up this morning uh, from a dream, and I was told to look up Poisson. Um, I knew it was a French word for fish, but the first thing I did this morning was type it in and looked it up, and whoa, I went down a quantum mechanics and physics path I wasn't expecting. I get a lot from dreams over the years. I wake up. They've learned to tell me at the end of a dream before I wake up, or my subconscious has, because I may not recall. But so I mentioned the other day that in one of my posts that Serendip, which I have sitting right here, is currently traveling opposite Transit Palace, which I have right here at 15 degrees. And they're at about 11-ish degrees, 10, 11-ish degrees. And anything they touch in the 11-degree range is going to be affected. Uh, so we have Poisson here, which sits across from my meta, which is also at 11 degrees. My county sits here at 11 degrees. That would also affect my astrology that I have here. So anyway, so Poisson, Simeon Denis Poisson, was a French mathematician and physicist who worked on statistics, complex analysis, uh, calculus, analytic mechanics, a whole bunch of really high level science. And he died in 1840. So, he was one of the fathers. I didn't know this. So I'm reading about him, and he has his Poisson distribution, which was a probability theory that a discrete probability distribution that expresses the probability of a given number of events occurring in a fixed interval of time or space if these events occur with a known constant mean rate and independently of the time since the last event. That actually connects to kind of what I do when I study charts for events occurring right on time. Because all of the transit planets, they all have their different travel rates, while we have this constant stays here in the center. Well, so when I was reading about him, that led me to de Broglie, this guy right here. And of course, at 5 degrees, he connects to he's on my anti-vertex and connects to my Neptune, which rules dreaming and thinking outside the box and all. I have abstracta here. That's pretty funny. So anyway, so de Broglie was a scientist. In 1929, he won the Nobel Prize for Physics, demonstrating wave-like behavior. And he worked with, let's see, it was wave-particle duality. It's the central part of the theory of quantum mechanics. I don't know any of that stuff. Um, so he worked or influenced Erwin Schrodinger. So here we are back to Mr. Schrodinger. And Schrodinger used it for his formulation of wave mechanics. All right. Interesting thing about de Broglie was he was the first high-level scientist to call for the establishment of a multinational laboratory, which we now know as CERN. I learned about CERN sometime in the 90s reading a book. I think it was Daughter of God, a fiction book. But so anyway, so yeah, that he was behind the development of CERN, which you hear about in the news now and again if you pay attention to any science things. So I'm going to keep my pages straight here. So for one of them that I was reading, I'm not seeing it in the papers that I printed off or screenshotted, led me to the bottom where it says see also, and it mentioned Arago spot. Well, golly gee, that's another asteroid that I know and know where it sits in my chart here, connected my Jupiter and my Sun, and so Neptune, all of that. But anyway, so the Arago spot, they used a supersonic expansion beam of deuterium molecules in a quantum mechanics experiment. And it followed the wave nature of particles uh, that dated back to de Broglie. So here we are back to him. So the Arago spot can also be observed in the strongly defocused image of a star in a Newtonian telescope. There, the star provides an almost ideal point source at infinity, and the secondary mirror of the telescope constitutes the circular obstacle. When light shines on the circular obstacle, Huygens' principle says that every point in the plane of the obstacle acts as a new point source of light. So that kind of correlates with what I do whenever I'm plugging in new asteroids in the chart and saying, oh, where's this at? I make new connections. Um, every planet has a variety of meanings to it. Every asteroid does as well, whether it's related to the person it's named after, the thing it's named after. And then there are different levels of archetypes that they represent. So every time I plug something new into a chart, whether my own or someone else's, I look around and I say, oh, well, wow, that connects, that connects. So here we have all of these connecting for me right now. Even Poisson and the moon by transit were conjunct, just like my own is. So yeah, in the progress chart, you can see all of your different asteroids and how they've progressed, and it will show them being hit by the different transits as well. Uh, I just keep studying. I keep looking at things and I keep making connections. That is part of my ascendant degree here. The Omega symbol is being able to put together patterns uh, that others do not see. So, anyway, there's my obsession for the day, my aha, and thank you for watching.